Welcome to another installment of Wine Tasting with Giants. To my left, I have Cameron Moore. He does a lot of stuff, so we're gonna get into all of it. But I'm not gonna start there. We're gonna start with the wine first. So what we have here is the Owen Rowe blend, Merlot blend out of Yakima Valley. So in Washington, there's a lot of different areas of wine. Yakima is very well known to the people there, locals and people that are in the wine industry, but outside the wine industry, it's not a place that people really look to. But the people normally look at Walla Walla and things of that nature. But I love Yakima. So this one is a Merlot heavy blend with a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon and some Cab Franc. So let's go ahead and get directly into it and see what's going on. You want to smell it with me?
Word.
Thank you, brother. Okay, so I'm gonna be a little structured on this tasting today because this is a special wine.
Wait. Let me stop you there.
Okay.
Has hints of red licorice, a little hint of concrete, some smoked okra, and a little Brussels sprouts sprinkled in for flavor.
I'm gonna tell you this. On the nose, the first thing I got, and I'm not even playing around. I guarantee, I'm telling you right now, I got licorice. First thing I got jumped out of the glass at me was licorice.
I'm just saying.
But it wasn't red, it was black. But I mean, it could be red. You know, everybody knows it's different, brother.
Hey man, 50% of the way there. I'm just saying, what you do, not that hard. No, give me like 3 months. I got you, bro. I got you.
Yo, I ain't mad at it, bro.
A little bit of hints of peach.
I like a little competition.
You know?
I like people who like to get into it. Just as long as you love it, just like I love it.
Some almond.
But I'm good.
Some cinnamon.
Some cinnamon. Some earthy qualities.
Actually, that's the one thing I do like about the more wine connoisseurs is that like they could really break down the wine and then actually tell you the flavors. And then I think what happens a lot of times is when you tell me the flavors and then when I taste it, I'll taste those flavors.
Yeah.
As opposed to if you didn't say anything, then I would have my own wild out thing.
Yeah, that's why I always ask I try to mostly ask the guest first to figure out what it is because I don't want to impose my personal, what I think it is, my opinion onto the.
Yeah,
so I get it.
And also too, like, I mean, I like the color of it already. Like, I like the darker reds anyways.
Yeah.
And so that's why I already know that it has like some good stuff. Plus, since I've read your book, I know what these leg thingies are. You know, I like my legs skinny, you know what I'm saying? No meat on the bone.
No, I like a little bit of girth. I like a little bit of leg meat, man.
We're talking about wine, not women, man. We're talking about wine. Focus here.
Focus. Man. Two skinny legs, how they gonna hold it up?
Focus.
Okay, let's go back to wine. Anyway,
yes.
As you can tell, we're boys. So licorice is definitely something I get off. There's black licorice. There's a little bit of a cassis quality going on as far as fruit. Some dark cherry, kind of cherry
dark
skin,
red.
very fleshy on the nose. And as far as wood notes go, it's more purely fruit as opposed to wood. Of course, it's been sitting in some kind of oak, but this one, to me, the fruit is what's singing. There's some earthy notes too. I mean, you get a little bit of gravel, you get a little bit of like a kind of tree bark thing going on, and raisins.
Now for the gravel part, do you guys actually taste gravel when you guys are learning about different types of wine?
So I will tell you this, not everybody, but I was a really weird kid when I was growing up, and so
So you're eating dirt?
I tried a lot of different things that I shouldn't have been trying.
Was it good dirt or was it clean dirt?
So I don't even know how to answer that. You got me. I don't even know how to answer that. Just to keep it real though, like I definitely was one of those kids that like if there was a rock there, I'm like, well, that looks interesting, and I'd lick it. You know, like stuff like that, weird stuff. You know.
No, not weird at all. It's weird, very weird.
Oh man.
But
that's what it was. It was I really like to try different things. My mother also. We lived in a household full of people who didn't like to explore different types of food, but me and my mother loved different types of food, so I was kind of like her guinea pig. She'd make different things and like try this or try this flavor, and that's what got me into trying other things outside of just food and
awesome.
Things of that nature.
Yeah, that's actually really dope.
Yeah,
because I mean,
she wanted to keep my palate broad.
And I think also too, I mean, now that I've gotten more into wines, like the type of wines that I usually like generally are more from Argentina region. I'm big on Portugal as well. and then all the basic ones that everyone always talks about. But those are the two that I like that's like outside of the realm.
Yeah.
And then since I like to veer more on the Malbecs and those type of things, so even this as a Cab and Merlot blend, it actually is kind of good because like I like this type of realm anyways, just because I'm a Malbec guy anyway. So that's why this I'm like, oh cool, this is in the realm of what if I get a red, these are like the type of reds I would do.
And I totally understand going to Portugal and Argentina because as far as getting those bold flavors that you would get out of, like, say, a Napa Cab, which costs a lot of money, you can get it at a reasonable price.
Exactly.
If you're dealing with something outside of California, well, outside of Napa. California has a lot of value, and even Napa has some value too, but you got to figure out what you like and find where's the best value.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like, I personally like more the Temecula and Paso Robles wines. I love Paso. Just because Paso has...
we went to Paso together.
Because Paso has a lot more of they have variety, but it's also in the wheelhouse of something where it's like, I'm not going to break the bank or anything like that.
Like, everything's reasonably priced.
Exactly.
And if you're one of those people who like to pair wine and food, you don't want to break the bank on the wine.
Exactly.
Because you're spending a lot on food already, so you got to find what works.
Yeah. And so, I mean, Temecula, a lot of their whites are really cool, and then some other rosés. And then when I was in Papasso with you, like the reds are the ones like from Justin's and Aladays, and like those, and they're all still reasonably priced, but still good. And then I have to feel like I feel like I can feel cool about it. You know? And also, like, Justin's, they just started shipping to New York now, so I'm starting to.
They're getting it out. Oh, I didn't even know that.
So I'm starting to see it in a couple of wine shops here and there. Very few, but they're still out there.
There's still the name out there. I mean, there's a lot of other names impossible. Justin is still the one. So you ready to taste it? I see you're already tasting it. Okay.
Way ahead of you, bro. Way ahead of you, bro.
Let me catch up.
Way ahead of you. But yeah, I started to see Justin's. Aladays haven't seen so much out there unless someone specifically had gone to Pasta, came and brought them with them. But yeah, those are the reds anyways that I like to like gravitate around.
I hear you.
And then since in the warmer time I just still my rosés, blah blah blah. But and then I'm still a sucker for just the normal typical like German Rieslings and all that, just because it's like easy and not too sweet, but it's more on the dry.
I almost got us a Riesling for this tasting, but I was like, you know what, I want a big red. That's what
I like. Yeah. And like the German Rieslings, I like them because they're a little bit sweet, but they're more on the dry side. Yeah. And like I like the dry ones just because then I can have it with like my fish or like some chicken.
See, that's the cool thing about Riesling though. The Riesling, I think for white wine, white grapes, is probably the most dynamic. There's a lot of other, I love Chenin Blanc from like Loire Valley and Vouvray specifically, but Riesling out of Germany, you can go either way. You go to Mosel, which has like more kind of young. They drink well young. They have some aged ones, but they drink well young.
And when you say young, you talking about like within 5 years?
I'm talking about within about 5. Actually, within about 5 years, they're still kind of popping out the glass on you, and you're still getting a lot of the nuances you get if you just popped and poured.
Interesting.
But Rheingau, which is another part of Germany, they're more ageable, in my opinion. And then on top of that, they have more sugar, specifically. So you get dry from Mosel, you get a little bit more fruit forward, a little bit more, residual sugar in Rheingau. That's what I love. They're very dynamic, and they have high acid either way. So sometimes you think the fruit is very fruity and there's no acid, but it's deceiving. It's deceiving acid because your mouth, as it goes down, your mouth is watering like crazy. It's deceptive. You don't even know that it has that much acid, and that also helps to make it age as long as it does with the high acid, low alcohol, and a lot of fruit. Yeah,
that makes sense. I mean, but that's also cool because then again, like, once I had started to learn a little bit more about wine, I knew that like as long as I knew my regions, that helped me like 75% of the way.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, and then
I say that in the book. Like, if you don't know about wine, just figure out what grapes you like and find a couple regions that focus on those grapes, and then you can find the value in which one works for you.
Wait. So there's more grapes than green and purple?
So many more grapes, bro. So many more grapes.
Like blueberries and raspberries, orange berries.
There's all types. It's funny, one of the questions I always get, before I even get into this wine, because I got to get into it because it's amazing, I always get the question of like rosés and orange wine, and it's so funny. It's because the question I get specifically is, hey, so this says orange wine here. Is it made out of oranges? And I'm like, and you can't blame somebody for asking that. That's one of those questions that, I mean, you see an orange wine, you're not used to it. You've seen rosés all over the place, white wines and red wines. How you know what an orange wine is? But just for everybody to know, orange wine is basically, if a certain grape, say for example Pinot Grigio, their skin tends to be a little bit more orange. They get a little bit more darker as far as, and it's a white wine, but it gets a little bit darker. So they allow the grape skin to be in when they're pressing for a little bit, and they allow the fruit to remain on the grapes for a while before they actually pull it out and make it into the wine that it's supposed to be. So that's why you get that orange tint, because it's the grape skin that's actually being added and pressed. Most white wines, it's just they take the skin off and they go straight.
Throw it in there. So it's like, So by leaving it in, it adds the color of it.
Exactly.
And then
it adds complexity, in my opinion, and tannin structure, because a lot of tannins come out of the grape skins. But anyway, let's talk about this wine. This wine, let me not get too excited. What do you think of it?
No. It was really dope. That's why I brought up the parts about the stuff that I like. As I said, like the type of Malbecs I like. Even though this is a blend, it has the same type of like thing because it's a little bit more full body, a lot more on the fruit. Like I said, licorice earlier, and like I said, it actually has some really good legs. You know, I was making fun of it, but it's true.
Yeah, I know you're making fun of it because you know how I feel about legs.
I'm just saying, man. When the legs are good, but also too for my taste, like I actually like the color where I like the darker colors anyways. And then and I know that now after drinking more wine that if I see something that's a lot more on the darker side, I know I'm more than likely gonna like it. Whereas on the lighter side, I'm not gonna have it because it's not gonna have as much full body of the fruit. It's gonna be a lot less. It's gonna be a little bit more acidity. Whereas like the full body ones are gonna have a nice full flavor. Something like this would be good with like a steak or something like that. You know,
there are some wines that for example, Nebbiolo out of like Barolo Barbaresco area, even Langhe or Valtellina. The Nebbiolo as a grape packs a punch, so that's why people love that. It reminds me of like kind of the red version of a Riesling because it's very dynamic. But on top of that, with it being, it's very light colored. When you get it in your glass, it's more orange tint. And it's like kind of Pinot-esque as far as delicate, but it packs a punch. The tannins sometimes are so high you can't even get to the fruit. And if it's drunk young, but now some of these young kind of Mavericks are making it where it's more approachable. I would say people like in Valtellina, they're tending to make this grape a little bit more approachable young, so you can drink it young. You're still gonna get that tannin, but it's a little bit more smoothened out.
Now, when the wines are a little bit more younger, does that affect the price?
Yeah.
So if it's a younger wine, you're not going to pay as much, or you're going to be paying more.
Well, so this is the thing. So it's a two-part answer. Some people make their wine to be consumed young, and so when they do that, they keep the price point very low. Not very low, but low enough to where they can make some money, but they're not gouging you. A lot of old school winemakers, say like, in Bordeaux and, all the parts of France, like Rhone and whatever, they like to make their wines ageable. Not all of them, but most of them like to make their wines ageable.
And when you say ageable, is it what's the minimum that it's going to be in?
It depends on what you like. Some people like wines that can age for 10 years. Some people just like it to go 8 years. Some people like it 20 years, 30 years. And if it's a specific winemakers love that. Like if you're a winemaker that loves longevity as far as the wines being consumed later on, people in France, they tend to love that. And so like they specific, and also where they plant it in places where it's more like older roots that go down deep. So you're getting more complexities and you're getting more nuances the longer that the wine sits in the bottle.
That makes sense.
It's not as expressive when you open it because the tannins may be too high, you can't get to the fruit, the acid's too high or whatever. They tend to allow the fruit to go down, and they're not impatient with it. They just take their time with the process.
Interesting.
But anyway, I love your questions though, by the way.
I'm a mini wine connoisseur.
I mean, I see you.
You haven't noticed.
5 years ago, I would have never heard this from him. What's
going
on? All of a sudden, he knows more than I'm like, yo,
it's called.
You do the interview, bro.
It's called Kocha. If you haven't noticed, we wanted to talk about whiskey or cigarettes.
This must come from New York.
Cigars.
Now, this has always been in you, though. You always been that kind of guy.
No, but it's also good because I think having basic understanding of just wine in general is always a good thing, because then everything from a social setting, from a networking setting, from a professional setting, you always can have at least a little bit of knowledge to understand what's going on. And also too, if you're with your boss or you're with your business people, you can always sit down and be like, the wine list comes through and you can pick something that's decent and it's palatable for everybody that's in the room, and everyone and you can kind of rub noses with with people that are a little bit more of
Exactly.
a higher tax bracket.
They're gonna be like, hold on, you know about wine, and most people in that tax
Exactly,
bracket, they
exactly.
talk about wine too.
And people of our age group are not necessarily as well versed in wine, and so a lot of times it's a lot more of an older thing. So when you do have a knowledge, and even if it's a basic knowledge, you have something else to talk to someone that might be older, and which usually could be your boss or anything like that. And they actually respect you on a different level because it shows that you have a little bit more well-roundedness.
Exactly. I mean, not this straight line. We want to be a little bit more well-rounded.
Yeah.